The next motion of the evening is, be it resolved that the iPad is overrated. Speaking for the motion, please help me welcome Dean.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the iPad is overrated. And overrated is beyond what is realistically expectable from the iPad. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to point out that humanity has survived for millennia without the iPad. We've managed to hunt and gather and fight and kill our way through all those years without an iPad. And Apple will have you believe that you cannot go anywhere or do anything without that little piece, oh, hang on, sorry. Without that little piece of technology in your hand. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the second point. Have you communicated with somebody who's hanging onto an iPad? That thing beeps and blurps and cheeps and chirps, and they don't talk to you. They're doing this constantly. That's not a conversation, ladies and gentlemen. You're just an afterthought. It's overrated as a method of communication, a tool of communication. It's a tool of distracted, interrupted bother, ladies and gentlemen. But some salesman or woman or person or Steve Jobs has convinced you that it's the be-all and end-all of technology. And to the point that now they have an iPad 5, making the recently created iPad 4 obsolete in what, 6 months? Something like that? Seriously, folks, you're just going to keep buying more and more and more and more and more of these things to keep up with the curve. You're never going to get near the curve. It's going to stay ahead of you. And the ubiquity and the popularity of the iPad is going to put more money into the funds of one company, ladies and gentlemen. You may think it's going to help you communicate, but in fact, it's going to restrict how you communicate with other humans.
Thank you, Dean. And now to speak against the motion, please help me welcome Michelle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Monsieur Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I just, as Dean was speaking, this quote came to my head and I just have to share it with you. I believe it was Bill Clinton that said, "It's the people stupid." Thank you, Michael, for reminding me of that quotation, and I feel it's just appropriate here. Not that Dean is stupid. Not that you're stupid. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But the image that you're painting of these people who are using this as a communications tool, for one thing, the iPad, I will argue, black and blue, it's not a communications tool, it's a toy. And yes, we were able to hunt and fight. Well, I didn't hunt or fight pre-iPad, and I still don't hunt or fight. I don't know about the rest of you. I still don't do that with the iPad in its existence. However, if I choose to, there is most likely, I'll go out on a limb and say there's most likely an app that will tell me where whatever it is I want to hunt or fight is. So I can then go out and save my time and energy and go straight to that thing that I need to hunt and kill and fight. And so the app's there. Now, which raises the issue, which I realized was at the end, that it's funneling funds into one company. And I'm pretty anti-Apple. But what's out there, realistically, are tons, millions of developers, app developers, who develop these hunting tools and these fighting tools out there. And they are not Apple employees. They are actually people amongst us. They walk and live and breathe, and they go to pubs and they don't, and they go to soccer games and they don't, but they are among us. They walk freely. They don't have signs. So we are actually funneling money into their pockets, which is actually a pretty good thing, supporting the local economy and all of that. The people who spend all their time staring at their iPad, yes, they're irritating. Remember what your mother said, and don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to strange people. Just stay clear of them. It's okay, they won't notice that you're not there because they're too busy staring at this thing. And it's not really a thing like this. It's this big device thing that they have to carry around. When I talk to a couple of my friends who are iPad aficionados, they say one of the great things about it is they can turn it on and it takes less than 4 minutes to turn on. So they can turn it on, they can check the weather, they can read the news, they can carry it with them, they can interact, they can give it to their kids who play games, so it increases their dexterity, the children's dexterity, probably adults as well. Great way to play Sudoku, apparently. I prefer pen and paper, but millions of people like it. There's lots of games. You can play games, you can watch movies, you can listen to radio, you can read books, you can read electronic copies of books, you can have thousands of books, you can take it on holidays with you. So there certainly are a lot of advantages to it, and not to mention the fact that it helps you hunt and fight much more effectively. And if the blurps really bother you, you can shut the blurps and beeps off. That's the great thing about technology. There's an off button when it comes to the sound. So I'm not sure how it's overrated, ladies and gentlemen, but please oppose the resolution.
Thank you, Michelle. And now to close the debate, please help me welcome Dean.
In one breath, the opposition says there's an off button, and yet she has clearly demonstrated that there is no off button. It's constantly on all the time. Even if it's not on, it's on in your head. You're using it, you're thinking about, whoa, I can use that app. Oh, that's great. I can do a little bit of hunt and fish, and away we go. It's a toy. Well, I'll suggest that, ladies and gentlemen, Angry Birds is a great hunting, fishing type of game. And if you're not hunting and fishing there, then I don't know. There's lots of war games you can play on it as well that you're hunting and fishing. But is that productive? No. In a general sense of society, no. Don't talk to strangers? Certainly. The strangers that are using the iPad aren't going to talk to the other strangers using the iPad because they're busy using the iPad. So your mother and my mother were both right. Turning it on in 4 minutes. Well, I sure hope you don't need to call 911 because in the 4 minutes it's going to take to turn it on to phone somebody, the person could be dead. And cluttering up one's life is not a good thing. I'm sorry, it's not. In today's crazy world, the iPad is overrated.
Thank you, Dean. Can I please have your votes for the motion? 10. Yes. And against the motion? 7. So the motion is carried forward, and Dean has won the debate. Congratulations.